Okay, for the last 2 nights, I watched Oprah a show. Where do we go from here? And there is a lot of input from various individuals who was on the show, and one said we need to repent, and I get that. That's a good analogy. We do need to repent because the pandemic was just a precursor to what we're dealing with now. And if the pandemic hadn't hit, I think we would be in much worse shape than what we are now. But at the same time, Stacey Abrams said we need to fill out the census so we can get the money in our communities. Well, newsflash, and I'm not knocking Stacey's perception. They already know how our communities are suffering financially, economically. They know that. We don't need no census to tell us that. We don't. And even if you fill out the census, we're not guaranteed to get that money. We've seen that. Look at the neighborhoods. We can look at Illinois, the west and the south side. They don't get no money. They get no money. And if we took a survey across these 50 states, you will find, I don't care if census, whatever it is, our communities are on the bottom of the list. Even our alderman takes the TIF money and direct it to the white neighborhoods up north or downtown. So the census is not going to solve the problem. It's not. Where do we go from here? Here's where we need to go from here. Accountability. Accountability for any police officer that kills an individual using unnecessary force do not go home. They go straight to jail. They are stripped of their retirement. They are stripped of everything. And they are penalized like you would penalize anybody else. No favors, no special privileges, none. Secondly, we need to get rid of some of these judges because some of these judges go along with what's happening because they sit in the seat, but in their mind, they're racist. And when you have people in political office, we'll never get to where we need to get with racist individuals sitting in those seats. And you know who they are. Remove them from the seat. The next thing we need to do is change the laws. Don't surface change them all the way down. We need details of what needs to be done in these laws. We need to be covered legally, protected. Our children need to protect it from this ever happening again. Next, we need to be looked at as human beings and not animals, not thugs, and not criminals. We need to be seen in that factor because if we good enough, before we got to 2020, back in the day, we were good enough to stand in your kitchens and cook your meals. We was good enough to take our breasts and feed your children. And we're good enough for your white husband to have went down um, to the slave's house and have sex with them. But you don't like our color. And yet and still you have tanning beds and you lay on the beach trying to get this color. But we're not good enough. We're not good enough. Then we need to have equal pay because we're just as qualified as anybody else. Then we need to have some financial stability and economic developments in our communities. Stop dumping in our communities. Stop letting people invest in our communities that mean our communities no good. We should not, as a race of people, have to go through hoops over hoop over hoop over hoop just to get some property or just to build a business when you have where you let uh, others come from other countries and they can buy business all over our state and our country. That shouldn't be. Then we need to vote. And I'm going to say this again. Your voice is your power. And any elected official that does not serve you in the manner you think they should be serving you, and they do not hold up to their word of transparency, honesty, and being fair, you need to evict their asses from the seat. We have that power. What we need to understand, they are our employees and we are their employer. Enough is enough. And then we, as a race of people, when stuff starts to settle, we cannot stop the fight. We have to continue to push forward to make a difference for your children, for your husband, for your sons. Again, nobody should live in fear when a police car pull up behind them. And if they put a bag over your head, a knee on your neck, and they cut them body cams off, then they need to lose their job, and other criminal offenses need to be put against them. We need a change, and we need a change now. If you're going to sentence us to 30 years in jail because of the color of our skin, and our crime is not that serious, then you need to do the same charge for the white people. The scales of justice are not balanced. And we're sick of the injustices. We're sick of the oppression. We're sick of the discrimination and the racism. We're sick of it. We're not thugs. We're not criminals. And matter of fact, if you want to keep it 100 plus, we've invented a lot of things. We're very skillful and very talented and very intelligent. Don't underestimate us. Sometimes we underestimate ourselves, but now we're at a point that we're unified and we have a voice. And people, we cannot let up. And those white folks who don't feel why, you don't have to understand why. No, it's an issue. It's a serious issue. And you may never understand because you're not a black person. You have never stepped in our shoes. You've never stepped in there. But look at history. Look at it. And for those who stand with us, kudos to you. But we need your voices too. And we need this change like yesterday. And we cannot let up. And yes, they did a 2-day show. Where do we go from here? But it don't stop with them 2 days. We need to continue to have action to get the change that we so desperately needed and so desperately been owed a long time ago. Black matters do matter. And no justice, no peace. It cannot continue to be just us. It's everybody. And we're just as much have a right to live a life of freedom and without fear. And we need a change now.